Hello, hello, hello. So I'm running a little bit blind here. Rick is co-hosting this for me, which means that I can't see who's on the call.
Ah,
Um,
sorry, I
uh,
didn't realize that. So we have Lisa, Karen, Carol, and the Sure Misa project in the room. Hello, everybody.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. We'll just give another minute or so for people to join in. While we're doing that, just going to ask you a question. If everyone here has heard about Kirmada's VA AI survey, it's officially ended, but it will be staying open until tonight. Um, what we're doing is we've done the first VA survey about how AI is impacting the industry. And it's designed to find out what the opportunities ahead are with AI, what the threats are, how VAs and OBMs are feeling about AI and what tools they're using and how they see the industry transforming over the next couple of years with AI. And what we're doing is we're asking everyone to take part in the survey, and everyone who does take part in the survey will get a report showing you exactly what the results are. And we're getting some of the industry leaders in the UK to actually write their own editorials on it within the report. So the likes of Catherine Gladwin, Amanda Johnson, Hayley Hudson, and who else is doing that? Rick, we've got
John Monroe
oh,
and
Joe Monroe, yeah. So a lot of the movers and shakers in the industry will be writing their own analysis of the results as well. And not only that, but we're going to be sending out personalized reports to everyone. So, and this is a great way of what AI can actually do these days is actually take a look at each one of the submissions and then write you a report highlighting where you sit within the industry as far as AI is concerned, and perhaps where the threats lie for your business and where the opportunities lie for your expertise. So it's the first of its kind. We're hoping that it'll come up with some amazing results. So if you'd like to take part, then you can do so. I'll just put the link in the chat for that. Um, so let me just find that. So that's the links in the chat there. So we the survey has officially ended, but we're leaving it open because we know there was a few more people that wanted to try it out. So please come along if you've got a chance. Put your thoughts into that survey. Let us know what you think, and we're hoping that the results of that will be out sometime in November. So we will be doing a lot of analysis work over the next few days. Right, so where are we? We've
yeah,
still got people in the lobby, or we okay to start?
I think I've let everybody in. So
Perfect.
we have another couple. I think we've got eight of us all together.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so
Lovely. Well, welcome everyone. My name's Adam. I'm one of the co-founders of Kirmada. Rick is co-hosting this with me. He's taking care of questions in the chat and letting people come into the room. So if you've got questions throughout, just feel free to throw them in the chat. Let us know. And I'd like to say thank you everyone for joining this because I know you're all very, very busy people. So what I'd like to do is take you through Kirmada. Um, and one of the questions, the title of the webinar was VAs deserve better tools. And why do we think that? Well, because it isn't just VAs that deserve better tools. It's anybody who runs a business where you have multiple clients or projects on the go. Because things have changed over the last few years when the tools that you're using haven't kept up with what you're actually doing or when you're working. And one of the reasons for that is because the web browser has become the most critical tool in most people's businesses. So it's a ubiquitous tool that um, was originally designed just for viewing websites. So back in 1994, when the first web browser first came out, that was all it was capable of doing was looking at websites in a very static way. Then people started needing extra tabs to be open. So we actually got a version, I think it wasn't until the later 90s, where you could actually have multiple tabs open. And people saw that as being a great way of being able to keep resources open that you don't need right now, but you're going to need in the future. And that was compounded with the problem that as the web browser became more capable, more and more services were done inside the web browser. So the things that you do in Canva or in Microsoft Office or Dropbox, all of these things that you can do inside a web browser, it wasn't designed to handle multiple, dozens of tabs across multiple clients. And so it has actually become a bit of a roadblock for a lot of businesses. Google recognized this and they've as you probably use profiles, Google profiles, and various other tools like tab groups and things like that. But they're sticking plasters over the fact that the web browser simply wasn't designed to do this job. And the University of California did a study a few years ago and found that up to 27% of a freelancer's time gets wasted by looking through for the tabs that they need at the moment, getting distracted by the things that they shouldn't be getting distracted by, and ending up going down rabbit holes of cat videos and whatever else it is. What it amounts to is a 27% loss in time, which over a year amounts to thousands of pounds or dollars, depending on what you charge and how much time you're losing. So we realized that we needed something different. I had a web design company and we had exactly these sort of problems. So what we came up with was Kirmada. We were looking around for a way that we could have, we could work in a web browser. We could do all of the things that we need to do in a web browser. But the primary thing that we needed to do was be able to switch between clients effortlessly without any distraction, without any loss of focus, without without that downtime that comes from looking around for what you know is on your screen somewhere, not being able to find it for a few minutes, and then once you do get on with the work, finding where you were before you got distracted and going back to the original client. So what we designed was Kirmada, and this is it on the screen, Rick?
Yes, it
Yep.
is.
Okay, perfect. Right, so this is Kirmada. And in Kirmada, what you do is instead of websites being at the top of the tree of the things that you're looking at on the screen at any one time, we've changed it around so that it's your client or the project that you're working on that is the most important thing. And so what I've done here is I've created workspaces for 4 different clients. Got Beach Breaks, Cotton Organics, Fashion Shop, etc. And when I click on a workspace, when I go into it, I'm in a web browser. So as you can see across the top here, you got the tabs that I left open the last time I was in here. And all of these tabs are you use in exactly the same way as you would in Chrome or Edge or Safari or whatever you use. The difference is when you go into a workspace on Kirmada, this browser is dedicated for that single client. So everything inside this client's workspace is logged on for that client, is ready to start work for that client. And when I want to move between clients, say I get distracted by a telephone call, I've got a drop down menu here. So I can just click on where it says Beach Breaks, the client I'm in, and I can choose a different client. And then I am now in a completely different web browser. You can see the tabs across the top of the screen have changed. And I'm now in a web browser that's dedicated to this client, and I'm logged into everything that they need and everything that they're doing. And everything is exactly where I left it. So when I go back, swap between these 2 workspaces, I'm exactly where I left it. So I can carry on working. I can be mid document or mid email or whatever it is. And I'm exactly where I was before. And I don't have the distraction of everything else on the screen for irrelevant stuff. I can just get working with this client. And it means that that loss of focus that you get when you have to change between clients is completely eradicated. You are able just to swap between clients and pick up from where you were without any loss of concentration whatsoever. Now, because Kirmada is designed around these workspaces, it knows which client that I'm working for. So if you look across at the top right hand side of the screen here, you can see that there's a clock ticking up. And that means that because I've gone into this workspace, Kirmada knows that I'm now working for Beach Breaks. The clock has started ticking and it's creating the timesheets for me automatically. And if I swap between workspaces, you can see that the clock changes. So the workspace well, it understands that the timesheet is stopped on one client and it started on the other client. And every time I go into a client, I'm not losing a second's worth of billable time because it knows exactly who I should be working for and who I should be billing. So knowing that it's capturing all of the time for us, the way that we recommend that VAs and OBMs use Kirmada is you tend to have for each one of your clients, there's probably 4, 5, or 6 different places that you go to on the internet all the time for them. So whether it's their inboxes, their OneDrives, Google Docs, whatever it is. And what we do is we say if you go into each one of those, log into exactly where you do the work. So the inbox, go to the Canva project, whatever it is. And then you can right click on each one of these tabs. And the second option down is save to stickies. And what this does is it will take that website, the exact place that you're doing the work, and it will stick it on this left-hand navigation bar just here. So you've got what is effectively a super bookmark to doing your work. And what we do is we say save to stickies for everything that's really important for this client. So I've got everything there. I've got my OneDrive, I've got my Microsoft apps. Everything I need is now pinned down the left-hand side. And that means that when I come into this workspace, even if I've managed to get myself into a complete mess or I've closed everything down, I can close all the tabs. And instead of having to figure out what I'm doing for this client, I can just immediately get back into all of the things that I need for this client. And it's just there and it's ready for work and it's just super easy. So Kirmada is based around these workspaces, and the workspaces are designed to make multiple client work really, really easy. And we talked briefly about how it's creating timesheets every time you go into a workspace, and you can actually see those timesheets by clicking on this show timers icon, which is the clock icon on each workspace. So you can see when I go into show timers, it's going to show me an overview of everything that's happened so far this month for this client. So I can see which days I've worked for this client. I can see which projects I've worked on. So I can click on these and see which days I worked on each one of these projects. And I can see where I am in relation to my retainer. So if you charge a retainer for a client, then you can put the retainer value in. And over here, it's showing you how far through that retainer you are. So at the moment, we're halfway through the month and 50% the way through the budget, which is ideal. If it goes over budget, you'll get an email warning you. And uh, even if you don't actually charge by retainers, I know quite a few VAs don't, they just charge by the hour. It's still worth putting a retainer value in here or a project value because quite often you'll have a client who's got a sensitivity around a certain billable value per month. So say it's £250 or $500 or whatever it is. Um, Knowing that you can see exactly where you are in relation to their expectations ensures that you don't then have to have that terrible conversation with them where you're charging them a lot more than they expected to be charged. And what we found with this, because Kirmada is so efficient at tracking time, is that it will track far more time than you are normally expecting. So if you're using an outside application like Clockify, or if you're logging your time in Excel or whatever it is that you're using, the fact that you don't have to click start and stop on timers and that everything is done automatically for you tends to mean that you have a far more accurate view of exactly what your client is using in terms of your resources. And that might not mean that you can immediately go out to them and say, your invoice this month is going to be, $500 more than you're expecting. What it does mean, though, is you can put together the evidence of exactly what your clients are demanding of you, and how much time you're effectively working for free. Because when you're trading your skills and your talent and multiplied by your time for as your service, you can't afford to give away time for free. You should know exactly how much time you're giving away, and how much time you're charging for, so that you can have those conversations with the client further down the line and say, we need to negotiate a new retainer, or we need to set boundaries. And if you set the boundaries, then it often opens up space for another client. So when you're in a workspace, you go into the workspace, the clock starts ticking, and you can choose which category of work that you're doing from this menu on the top right here. So you can say that, you're in a meeting. So you can run the meeting from here. It charges this against the meeting. When you go into the actual timesheet, you can see a full breakdown of exactly everything that's happened in the month. So everything is editable. So you can edit any of these entries. You can delete anything that you want to. You can add new entries if you've missed anything. And all the time, it's telling you exactly where you are in relation to all the activities you've done with the client. And you can then export this to a spreadsheet, and you get a full detailed view of that. And then from there, you can create white labeled reports to send to your clients. So you've got full control over the timesheets. We wanted to make sure with Kirmada that, first of all, the most important thing is the fact that you've got these workspaces, which can be absolutely anything. So Rick and I use Kirmada in our day-to-day work, but we don't have our clients listed as workspaces. What we tend to do is have the different projects within Kirmada that we need to keep on top of. So, for example, marketing or accountancy or our CRM, customer management, things like that. We will have workspaces for all of those different tasks and projects, just so it's really easy to switch between them. Um, and we recommend that's the way VAs should use it as well, is have your primary workspaces created for your clients, but then create workspaces for absolutely everything else as well, and create workspaces for your hobbies as well if you want to. I moved
Adam,
house. Sorry.
yeah, sorry, can I just interrupt and say, can you add a workspace and just show how simple it
Yeah, I
is?
was just about to do that.
Okay,
So,
sorry.
so with the workspaces, obviously in Kirmada, you can in the free version you can use two workspaces. In the pro version, you can have unlimited workspaces, and they are so easy to create. As Rick was just saying, you click on add a workspace, and you don't actually have to fill in anything here. You can just click create workspace and it'll be done. But for this, I'll just create an. I'm going to use Shell because they could be a great client, and you can put in a URL for them. The only thing it's using this URL for is to try and pick up a logo. But you can also select a logo from your computer. You create the workspace. Here you have an option to import profiles from Chrome or from Edge or whatever. So if you've got a profile already set up for this client or this project, you can just import it here. But I haven't, so I'm just going to click close. And that's it. The workspace is now created. You don't actually have to do anything else to use this workspace. You can just go into it. It starts up a fresh web browser for you, a fresh timesheet. Everything is absolutely blank, and you can just start working. All of the things like setting up retainers and billable values and stuff like that, you can do later. You don't have to do all of that to start. You can just create a workspace, and you can just create workspaces and throw them away again afterwards. So if you just want a workspace to do a brief 10-minute project that you don't want to keep, then create one and dump it when you're finished. So the other things that we put inside the workspaces, though, is there are various other tools that we've embedded in here. So, for example, we've got calendars. So each workspace comes with its own calendar. The calendars are designed to be task schedulers, so you can set yourself tasks in here. You can assign those tasks to the different categories in the timesheets. But also you can attach these calendars to social media. So here you can see I've got it attached to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And what that means is I can schedule posts directly from inside this calendar. I can just click schedule. For some reason, it's not working. Hang on a second. Let me just go back into that. So I'm going to click. This is brilliant. This is a great time for my PC to stop working. I'll describe it to you instead. When you're scheduling a post, it should pop up with a post creator. You create the post and you add images to it, and then you're able to schedule that post on the calendar to repeat as often as you want.
Uh,
So
Adam,
yeah.
sorry, don't you click on create post? No, just below that.
Oh God, yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah.
That's okay.
Brilliant. So, thanks, Rick.
It's
So,
okay.
creating a post, I'm going to do a test post and then I'm going to put in some text. So, we've got some text there. And like I was saying, you can add images from the file center. So, I will add an image of a VA. attach that, and then able to preview this for how it's going to look on the different platforms. So I can have a look, make sure it's going to look okay on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and etc. And when I'm happy with how the post looks, then I can either publish that straight away by clicking save, or I can schedule that for a future date. So I can say that I want this to go out tomorrow at this time. And then if it's evergreen content, then I can schedule it to repeat the post yearly, monthly, weekly, whatever it is I want to do. And that post will then take care of itself. I just click on which channels I want to send it on, and click save, and that's it. It's now going to be posted for. I've done it daily, so it's now there every day for the rest of
Forever.
time. I will be deleting that. Don't worry, Rick. Uh, so you can create posts. You can also create queues for social media posts. So, if you have a post that you want, or if you know you want posts to go out every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, then you can create a queue in the schedule and add posts to it. So you can just put 30 posts into a Monday morning queue, and every Monday for the next 30 weeks, it'll just do the next post in the queue. And there's a social media inbox here as well. So we can, this is a great way of per client aggregating the incoming conversations, so you can manage the conversations as they come in, and you don't have to just log in manually to every single one of your clients' social media channels. So you can
Oh,
have these. Yeah, sorry, Rick.
sorry, Lorraine just asked if you can do that for a blog post, and you can't really, can you?
No. So with a blog post, what you would do is you would open up your WordPress backend inside Kirmada. So you'd add it as another sticky if that's something that you go to going to the blog posts, and you would just use WordPress or whichever blogging platform you use inside a workspace, just like you would inside Chrome or whichever platform you use. Um, and they tend to have their own scheduling options inside WordPress or whichever platform it is. What you can do afterwards is then create a post about that blog, but it's not linked directly. So you'd go in here, you'd create a post, and then in the body of that post, you'd put the link to the blog. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah, it's
Cool,
good.
excellent.
Makes
The one thing you saw while I was creating that post was I was able to attach media to it, and that's because in Kamada, every time you create a new workspace, it creates a folder in the cloud for your files for that client. So if I click on beach breaks, I can see that I've got all of these folders here. I've got the images that I was just looking at. I can look at the thumbnails. I can even edit these inline by right-clicking and saying edit, which gives me basic editing tools like contrast and cropping and stuff like that. Um, and the great thing about having these files underneath the workspace is it means that you can, under each one of your clients or each one of your projects, you can put the specific files that you need for that client or project inside the client's workspace. So you never have to hunt around looking for their stuff again. It's always underneath the workspace. Uh, and we don't recommend that you use this as an alternative to OneDrive or Google Drive necessarily, but it's a great place to have the single source of truth documents, if you like. So if you've got the contracts or the design guides for a company or their logos or authorized images, stuff like that. It's a great place to put those things because they're always there where you need them when you're working for the client without you having to hunt around. And obviously, you can still use Dropbox and Google Drive inside the workspace, as you would in any web browser. So you've got the best of both worlds in that respect. And where this all sort of comes full circle, how are we doing for time? Yeah, just about. Where this comes full circle is these workspaces are shareable. So I can take any of these workspaces and I can share it with my team. So if you're working with associates or if you're working with contractors or copywriters, web designers, etc., you may want them to have access to this. So what you do is on any one of these workspaces, you just click add a team. You put in their email addresses here. You can optionally put in a note to explain why you're inviting them to the team. And you can also optionally share the passwords and credentials from this workspace as well. So if you want them to have access to that blogging backend, for example, then by clicking share passwords with the team, when they go to that website, the credentials will be filled in for them automatically. So you don't have to follow up with separate emails. And when you send this invitation, what the recipient will get an invite. When they accept the invite, the workspace appears on their screen the same way as it is here. And what when they go into the workspace, they won't see all of the tabs that you've got open across the top. You don't see theirs because if you have 5 people in the team, that would become a nightmare very quickly. But they do get access to all of the stickies that you put down the left-hand side. So in terms of onboarding somebody for into a team, they've instantly got access to all the resources they need. They're all pinned down the left-hand side. Like I say, you can optionally add the passwords and credentials for them as well. So they can get on with the work that they're doing immediately without having to have endless emails going backwards and forwards to onboard them. And if you only want them to have access to certain things, then you literally create a workspace and just put the things in there that you want them to have access to. And all of the work that they then do in that team goes onto your timesheet. So again, there's no missing time here. So every time somebody works on a project, I'll go into this Eco House one and show you what that looks like. Um, when you scroll down on this summary, you can see all of the team members down here, how much time they've spent in the workspace this month, how much of the retainer they've used. You can set each person with a personal budget. So if you only want to pay somebody a set amount each month, then you can set them a budget. And then you can set the cost price and billable price for each person as well. So the cost price is what you're paying them. The billable price is what you're charging the customer. And then the P&L will show you what the balance is looking like on across each person in the team. And then a summary at the end of exactly what what the team's done this month in this workspace. So you're able to onboard team members really, really easily. And that also means that you're able to offboard team members really easily. This icon on the left-hand side here for Teams will show you all of the teams that you've got set up. And when you go into the teams, you can just see all of the team members. You're not limited to how many people you can invite to a team. It can be as many as you like. And you can also set what sort of resources they have access to. So whether they have access to the calendars, social media, etc. And then you can remove them. And the great thing about that is when you remove somebody from a team, they lose access to everything instantly. There's no hangover of them having access to your client's resources that you would have if they were just using Chrome profiles or Safari. In those, you don't know what they've saved. You don't know what access they've still got after they've left the project. With Kirmada, they've lost access to everything. So from a GDPR perspective and privacy perspective, it's a real step forward in being able to ensure or reassure your clients that you take their privacy and their data seriously by being able to onboard and offboard team members that easily. And like I say, if you've got very sensitive projects for a client, then just set up a workspace for that project. And then once you're finished, you can just, end that project and remove everyone from the team. So that is what Kirmada is. This is a system that is designed for the way freelancers work, where you have multiple clients, you have multiple projects, and what that means is you end up with thousands of browser tabs open, and you can never find what you're looking for. It takes time to find the work that you're doing, and after you've been interrupted between a call and doing a project, getting back to where you were in a normal web browser is, I was going to use a rude word there, is painful. So instead of it being painful, Kirmada just makes it very much easier, makes sure that your billing is absolutely bang on, that you never lose another penny again. And I'll just leave you with one statistic. I mentioned earlier that I used to have a web design agency, very small agency. But in the first month that we used Kirmada, before we'd actually released it as public software, the very first month we used it, I billed an extra £800 simply because it was capturing everything that people were doing that they weren't normally recording. Those phone calls, or they were capturing the phone calls maybe in the timesheeting software, but then working for an extra 15 minutes as they did some research and not recording those things. And if you're an agency owner, the flip side of that coin is you're still paying them for those hours that they're doing, but you're not charging the client. So Kirmada puts an end to that and just makes sure, your billing just becomes much healthier. You know exactly where you are, and working just becomes far more stress-free and easier. So that is Kirmada in a nutshell. I mean, I hope that you find that useful, and you can see there are applications for it in your business. I think we've got a little bit of time for any Q&A if there are questions. Is there anything that's outstanding there, Rick?
I think I've been answering the ones that have come in so far, but I mean, one thing to say is we will send this out to everyone. Karen asked that, which is
Yep.
fine. Um, uh, we just have a question just come in saying, are there any new features coming?
There are new features. We are testing at the moment we're testing Chrome extensions. So we're going to have a limited Chrome extension store that's coming in. Um, so there will be features like LastPass and 1Password and ad blockers and things like that coming very shortly. And then the way the Chrome store works is we have to test each one of the extensions before we can actually release them, because some can cause problems in a multiple workspace environment. Um, and so that will be released soon. And what you'll be able to do is actually request access to the extensions that you find most important. And that bumps it immediately to the top of the testing list. And then hopefully it's only a couple of days turnaround before that gets tested and released. So that's coming very soon. And we also have a lot of exciting features in the pipeline. They're only limited by the time and money that we have to be able to do them. But uh, the grand vision for Kirmada is to make this the all-in-one software that you need as a freelancer to be able to manage your business, and that includes things like capacity management, project management, CRM, etc. Will all be coming into Kirmada over the next hopefully 12 to 18 months. So there's an awful lot of stuff to come. Yes. Yes, Lorraine, it is exciting. Good to see you, Lorraine. I haven't seen you for a while. Um, yeah, so I would. The last thing to say is if you'd like to try Kirmada, then please feel free to pop over to kirmada.com, download the free version. You don't need a credit card to download that. You can just download it, use it for two workspaces, get used to using it. Hopefully, you'll very quickly need a third workspace, a fourth, fifth, sixth. I've got 31 workspaces. I think Rick's probably similar to that.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, my email address is there, so just feel free to ping me an email at any time. And if you ever want to go on a quick one-to-one to discuss something that's in Kirmada and how it works, then Rick and I are always available for that as well. So just give it a go. Let us know what you think. Do keep in touch. And yeah, give it a try and let us know what you think.
Yeah, and just to say, um, there's a link on the website to say book a demo, and you can use that to book a demo with us, or you can use that to get us to help you set it up, or if you've got a question, you can use that as well. And one of the key things is, we do really like to look after our clients, and so we do really listen to what people want, what people think, and yeah, so we'd love to hear from you, and hope you use it and hope it goes well.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you everyone for joining. If you haven't done the AI survey, today is the last day to try, and the link is just there. So, oh, thanks, Lisa. That's wonderful. Thank you. Uh, Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us.